FabTech is a unique space to be able to learn specifically about the welding technologies, right? The fabrication technologies. There are a few shows that try and encapsulate everything. You've got your, I call them directional shows, the East Tech, the West Tech, the South Techs. They try and encapsulate everything, but this is really specialized. And so you meet a really different group of people at FabTech than you do from an Automate or an IME West or a directional show or an IMTS. It's just a different group that's here. For me, it's all about the networking. The technology is really neat, but I know so very little about the technology side of manufacturing in general, right? But to me, it's that networking opportunity. It's the happy hours in the evening. It's walking the halls and learning about who the people are that are here, not necessarily the technology.
Welcome to Making Sparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, Making Sparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
Welcome back to Making Sparks. We're here at our special FabTech edition, sponsored by Pacific Press Holdings, manufacturer of Pacific and multi-press brakes and presses. So thank you to Pacific Press Holdings for sponsoring all these episodes that we're recording. We're on our long day of we're going to be doing 6 episodes.
Back to back.
So many.
And we're hosting a happy hour this afternoon. I'm going to be ready for that beer.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to come back for that.
Please do.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you just heard someone's voice. That was Jim Mayer. He's our special guest today. No, you're fine, Jim. Jim is the host of the Manufacturing Culture podcast, right? I'm going to let him kind of introduce who he is, but I didn't really say who I was. I'm Casey, the host of Making Sparks, sitting here with Matthew Nix, my co-host. I guess we're technically both co-hosts, but I always say I'm a host.
No, you're the host and I'm the co-host. I know my role.
And we're sitting at the ProFab Alliance booth because there's a logo over there, so might as well say we're at that booth too. So Now I'm going to go right back into letting Jim tell us a little about himself. So Jim, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, I love this like Batman and Robin dynamic that you guys got going on here, where you're trying to give him more credit and he's trying to give you more credit. That's pretty awesome, guys.
He never gives me credit. What are you talking about?
He just told you to call yourself the host and he's the co-host. Batman Robin dynamic.
That's fair.
All right. Jim Mayer, I host the Manufacturing Culture podcast. Recently started another show called the Manufacturing Connector, which is on YouTube. I've been in the industry for about 20 years now. Started out before I got into manufacturing as a home builder. Building houses during the day, bartending at night. Got really beat up physically. My body couldn't take it anymore. And so I started selling industrial supplies, which is when I walked into my first machine shop. And I fell in love because it was like going back to shop class in high school, which was my favorite class. And so I fell in love and I changed our entire distribution model to go after those kinds of manufacturers instead of construction companies. Continued that journey through industrial distribution into automation sales, worked for a nonprofit in the manufacturing space, helping members find value, find people, worked for a couple of OEMs. And then in 22 was fortunate enough to start my own coaching and consulting company, which I failed miserably at. I'm not a great coach and consultant, but what I found along the way is a love of storytelling, a love of giving people a platform to tell their story about their journey in this industry that I love so much. And that's when the Manufacturing Culture podcast was born, just as a way for owners and people in the industry to share their leadership journey or their journey as a whole. Through that, I found that I had two really distinct audiences. One loved hearing those profiles, those interviews about people's journey, and another group that said, said, I don't care about their journey. I've got a problem. I need to know how to solve it. So I launched a new show just this last July called The Manufacturing Connector. And it's 30-minute quick hit demo videos for solutions providers to share their products, goods, and services. It's really neat.
Hey guys, just a reminder, this FabTech Making Sparks episode is brought to you by our friends at Pacific Press Holdings, the trusted manufacturer of Pacific and multi-press hydraulic press brakes and presses. For over 75 years, Pacific has been a leader in crafting high-quality hydraulic presses, press brakes, and shears, trusted by businesses across the metal fabrication industry. Whether you need a custom-built press or a standard solution, Pacific delivers precision-engineered equipment designed to last. From consultation to installation and ongoing service, their team is committed to helping your business stay ahead. And for over 80 years, Multipress has been the go-to name for hydraulic press solutions that prioritize precision and performance. From C-frame presses to specialized assembly solutions, Multipress combines innovative engineering with unmatched reliability, making them a trusted partner for manufacturers in metal forming and assembly. You're not just buying machines. You're investing in a legacy of expertise, innovation, and support. To learn more about Pacific, visit pacific-press.com. And to learn more about Multipress, visit multipress.com. Your whole little intro there is great for our listeners because you're probably going to gain some listeners. They're going to love coming and learning from your podcast and things like that. Obviously, I like that you're the host of the Manufacturing Culture podcast because we talk culture all the time. And for me, as a guy who is not really a part of this industry, I took a welding class in high school, and I'm pretty sure it's the only class that I probably got like a C or D in because I cannot weld. But the one thing I keep telling people is every time I go into a shop floor and it's a manufacturing plant, I work with like plastic manufacturers, I work with obviously tons of industrial and fabricators, and going to like fabrication shops, it's the people. The people, like Nick's companies or Nick's Industrial used to say, our people make the difference, and it's really that the industry, like the people do make the difference. And like as a guy who comes in and I have a camera and I'm sticking a camera in their face, when they welcome me into their shops and they're like, check this out, and they take so much pride in their work, it's to me, it's just awesome getting to experience that. And so from a guy that's not actually in the industry, I just totally appreciate the people in this industry.
Yeah, the people really make this industry. I mean, I've said it a lot on my show. This industry has made the middle class, and the middle class was made by the people of this industry, right?
I'm gonna pull. I'm
Mike Payne.
I'm gonna pull a guy in. Just literally, he's walking down the aisle of the show. I'm pulling him in. Right. He probably hadn't even had his coffee yet. Dude, do you know this guy?
Nice to finally meet you in person.
Yeah.
Jim,
well,
Mike, pull your mic up. You're on the podcast now.
I just needed to be polite and shake his hand.
No, here's why I'm serious. We didn't plan this. He's walking over here, but you were talking about the folks in the industry and all that stuff. So this guy's story is exactly that. He came into manufacturing. This is Mike Payne, by the way. He's become a good friend of mine. He's getting ready to launch his own podcast called By the Numbers. Tomorrow you're launching.
I think it's launching tomorrow.
So he's also under the Making Chips umbrella. Making Sparks, our podcast is under the Making Chips umbrella, which we're really building into a media brand across our industry. But anyways, Mike's story is he came into the industry. He's a finance guy and didn't really know anything about manufacturing. He listens to this podcast and goes and meets a bunch of awesome people. They all welcome him in and with open arms. And it's really just a testament of what you were just saying. Like, this industry is so cool like that. Well, and I mean, we have, I guess people would say, competing podcasts, right? But
none of our podcasts compete.
No, but that's my
point. They really don't,
like,
because every single one of our shows is unique in one way or another, right? They're not going to find the same questions on your show that they find on mine and vice versa, right? And so we could have this exact same guest on both of our shows, and the audience will get two completely different messages, which is the greatest part. So I don't look at, I've been asked, how do I compete with Chris Lukey? How do I compete with making chips? How do I compete with, Mavens and Automation Ladies and all these shows that exist within our space? To me, it's not a competition. We're all working together and make this industry a bitchin' industry and a place that people want to come work, right? We just tell the stories in different ways. We don't compete. I don't know if you look at that any differently.
Well, Mike's podcast, By the Numbers, is just like it sounds. So it's all diving into that aspect of
accounting,
the business.
Finance, merger acquisition,
which is nothing I talk
operational
about.
metrics. Right?
Yeah.
To your point, like during IMTS, there was so much content creation going on. You were recording, we were recording, everybody was recording. I know there's 5 or 6 people that were with all of us.
Yeah.
And I've listened to half of those now as they've rolled out, and you're right, it's not the same story, and everybody drew out a different aspect kind of based on what their niche is.
This episode of Making Sparks is brought to you by Paperless Parts. Are you tired of the complexity that comes with quoting and manufacturing? Paperless Parts is here to help. As the #1 quoting and collaboration software for manufacturers, Paperless Parts simplifies every step of your quoting process in a single, centralized environment. With patented technology, their automated costing and pricing logic is tailored specifically to your shop, making it easier and faster to generate consistent quotes across your entire estimating team. Plus, Paperless Parts meets the rigorous standards of FedRAMP and CMMC, giving you confidence that your data is secure. By streamlining your workflow, Paperless Parts saves you time, boosts profitability, and helps you deliver an unbeatable customer experience. Ready to level up your shop's quoting process? Visit paperlessparts.com to learn more. Paperless Parts, quoting made simple, profitable, and powerful. I've said this on our podcast before. I truly believe, like, if you can be friends with your competitors in a way, and I have literally friends I grew up playing sports with, and we were the most competitive ever, right? But we're still friends, right? So when you have someone that's in your industry, so for me, in video marketing and content marketing, and you guys can kind of talk like just, if you guys are directly competing against each other, probably shouldn't talk. But if you guys can talk about like the ups and downs, like, it's surprising. I know like in some industries and sometimes in the fabrication industry, you got to kind of keep your trades to yourself and stuff like that a little bit. But we've had people on the show that they've talked about where people invite them into their shops, and the reason their shop grew was because someone took the chance to and Matthew has stories like that too.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm the same way. And on the podcast side, I'm really like, I just love, you know how many podcasts I listen to that I just bounce around that they probably compete, but I listen to all of them. And because they decide to be guests on each other's podcast, I started listening to someone else. So it doesn't, a little competition. And it may be kind of fun. Like you could have some fun with some competition and stuff, but yeah.
I think, it's the whole industry, right? I remember not long after we bought Hill Manufacturing, so that's been about 7 years ago now. 6 months in or so, my partner says, okay, so who's our big competition locally? I was like, we don't have any. And he's like, Mike, that's a really cocky statement. And I was like, no, I don't mean it like we're the best. I just mean like everybody I've met that is our competition, we're friendly with we loan each other tools, and we, outsource to each other. And, if somebody needs a gauge, somebody broken in, like any of that type of stuff, we're swapping stuff to help each other. Obviously, to Casey's point, there's always going to be that one or that few or that certain job even that you don't, that you keep at a distance from each other on. But I just feel like the whole industry kind of works that way.
Jim, so I know you have a hard stop here because you're speaking at FabTech. And what are you going to be speaking about?
I've got 4 sessions. So I've got 2 today, 2 tomorrow. Today I'm speaking on aligning performance reviews with employee development plans.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's something that we could nerd out on that.
Oh, absolutely. Then this afternoon, I'm speaking at the Emerging Leaders session on emotional intelligence and how to build that as a leader and use that to communicate better.
It's so important, and I think that's something, not to stereotype, but we really are losing that emotional intelligence. Our smartphones are killing the ability to have crucial. No, we read the book. We read the book as a leadership team, Crucial Conversations.
Oh yeah, great book.
So important. It's really about emotional intelligence, right? And how to have the hard conversations and how to address things head on. And so that's a great one as well. What else are you talking about?
Then tomorrow I've got 8:30 session, which I don't know how many people show up at 8:30, but they put me at 8:30 to talk about how to use podcasting to grow your sales and manufacturing business.
Nice.
So 8:30 tomorrow morning we'll be talking about that, and then tomorrow afternoon or just before noon I talk about how to go from that manager to a true leader, and make that transformation from that tactical manager to really that coaching leader as you're going through that leadership journey.
Interrupting your current Making Sparks episode to bring you your latest sparks of knowledge. With me is Adam Schmidt from the ProFab Alliance.
Hey, thanks for having me here today, Casey. Do you feel like your business has outgrown its current structure, processes, and systems?
Yeah, we're getting close right now.
Yeah, well, you're not alone. You know, as businesses grow, they often outgrow these things. What was true yesterday might not be true today. You know, and that's where ProFab Alliance can help you out. Through our tenure in the industry, you know, we've encountered a lot of successes and even more failures. And we took all those systems and processes in our teachings and learnings and kind of bundled them up to give to other owners in the industry. Maybe they can circumvent those failures and improve on the lessons that we've learned. So, you know, if that's something you're interested in, it's really the foundation of ProFab Alliance. You know, I kind of encourage you to go to profaballiance.com to learn more, and you know, you can sign up there or reach out to one of our team members to learn more.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, Jim, is, and I'm going to do this on almost all the episodes we do today, but why do you love these trade shows, like especially like FabTech? Why are you here at FabTech? People listening to this, hearing like why they should be coming to FabTech, and we're not sponsored by FabTech. We're just happen to be hosting our podcast at FabTech, but
we're not sponsored by FabTech, but we could be.
FabTech.
Are you listening?
Are you listening? You could be, but I do think like people hearing why they should come here. I mean, we'll probably share later on why Matthew would say someone should come here. I can tell people if you're trying to target these industries why you should be here. But why do you think if you're a fab shop or whatever, a manufacturer, why come to FabTech?
FabTech is a unique space to be able to learn specifically about the welding technologies, right? The fabrication technologies. There are a few shows that try and encapsulate everything, right? You've got I call them directional shows, the East Tech, the West Tech, the South Techs. They try and encapsulate everything, but this is really specialized. And so you meet a really different group of people at FabTech than you do from an Automate or an IME West or a directional show or an IMTS. It's just a different group that's here. For me, it's all about the networking. The technology is really neat. Like I can walk around, but I know so very little about the technology side of manufacturing in general, right? I've spent 22 years in it. I still know very little about the technology. So I look at it and I can geek out about it. But to me, it's that networking opportunity. It's the happy hours in the evening. It's walking the halls and learning about who the people are that are here, not necessarily the technology. Does that make any sense at all?
I agree. I agree.
Well, I run a fabrication company and I know very little about the technology. I mean, you know, we're always trying to learn more, but
I'm not running a fabrication company and coming to FabTech. I really don't know what's going on.
No, it's evolving so fast.
It really is. Constantly changing. One thing I did notice, and I haven't even had a chance to walk through the halls here, so I'm excited to do a little bit of that later today. One thing I noticed about the last trade show I was at is the sheer amount of software companies that are now entering into the manufacturing space. True tech companies, that Silicon Valley tech company is now really having a presence at shows like this to show how much they're investing in this industry, in the industrial space, because there's so much that tech can do to help automate business processes. We're really good as an industry about automating manufacturing processes and getting as much efficiency, operational efficiency as we possibly can. One of the things that we haven't been good at and we haven't been keeping up with is that automation of the business processes, the people processes. So seeing some of the software that's out there right now, it's pretty cool. And I hope to see some of that here today too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Jim, how can people follow along with you? Obviously, we talked about your podcast, but we're going to go ahead and let you get out of here. But how can people follow along with you?
Best place to get me is on LinkedIn. I'm in a bathtub full of ping pong balls at Spin Chicago. So if you put in Jim Mayer into LinkedIn and you see this photo of a guy in a bathtub of ping pong balls, that's me. Follow me, connect with me. I'll connect with anybody out there. If you want to email me, you can email me at jim.mayer@themfgconnector.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok. Can't even think of all the names of these stupid social media. And then, of course, on YouTube, you can watch the Manufacturing Connector podcast. It's also available on all the podcast platforms, or you can watch the Manufacturing Connector show, which is brand new on there. And we've got a new show coming out starting next week. It's just going to be a quick hit, 15-minute show once a week, reading press releases that were sent. It's called Press to Connect. So just a third show that we're launching next week. I don't know when this will come out. Hopefully by then they can check it out. And I haven't completely dropped the ball on that. So
awesome.
And Mike, you're going to hang out because we're going to have you on the podcast here in a second, I think. So
Yeah, I think we're doing another one.
awesome.
Well, awesome, man. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I have you on my list of people to call, so this saves me a phone call and B, dropping the ball. So I appreciate
Same
that.
thing. You were on my list, and Casey posted a picture about, 30 minutes ago that you were in the booth recording. I was like, I'm going there early, so that I wouldn't have to chase you down somewhere else.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys.
for being on the
Appreciate
show.
you having me on.
I got to get one last shout out to Pacific Press Holdings, manufacturer of Pacific and multi-press hydraulic brakes and presses, for sponsoring all of our episodes here at FabTech. And then obviously, how do we close this out?
Well, first of all, we got to make sure that we're promoting our show. People need to follow us.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
thanks to the sponsor, but also follow Making Sparks. If you like these episodes, share it with people on LinkedIn. Love LinkedIn. That's where we get probably a lot of our listeners, but also on Facebook. And just share it, follow it, like it. Obviously, check us out on YouTube. We do the videos, so yeah.
Casey, if you're not making sparks,
You're not making money.
There you go.
I figured that one out.